Hello everybody. Welcome to another speedrun rapid game against Tanamala. Rated 1600, a serious contender against our Pirc setup as we attack the pawn and white defends it with development. We now fianchetto our bishop, entering our starting position. Okay, he develops and pressures our knight. We develop defend. He brings out his second knight. We simply castle, and from here we can continue. He modestly develops a bishop. We could bring our pieces out, go c6, number of options. I want to put the question to the bishop, a free improving move. I'm happy for the trade. Otherwise, let's see what he does with his bishop. We made a little room for the king for the future. Um, okay, so he retreats it towards the center and not keeping any potential pin on the knight. Fine. It also double blocks the e-file if he ever puts a rook there. It also walks into a knight g4 move, which is slightly annoying for him. But in any case, we can just continue doing whatever we want. Let's play c6, flexible move. Okay, he stops our bishop and our knight from coming here. You could have jumped your knight there on the last turn, but you also don't need to go to the opponent's side of the board just yet if you don't want to. You can play more modestly. Just develop your pieces on your side. He creates his battery. You have to notice the threat. He's not only trying to maybe castle, he's attacking your pawn. Let's defend the pawn while improving our king. He castles long. Fine. Now that we have the information of where his king is, we're willing to invest more resources, our turn, into the queen side with a move like b5, using c6 as a lever to launch this pawn up the board, attack the knight. So he starts his pawn storm on the other side of the board. The downside of what he's doing is he's not paying attention. So now when I go b4, I'm dislodging his knight and I can attack the center. And if he tries to counter, I'm going to come with a hit on the queen. So he moves the knight out of the way. It's currently trapped. But the problem is it undefends the center, which comes with, well, I guess an attack on the queen. We win up central pawn. So he moves the queen, attacks the knight, aims at the king. Fine. I wonder if d5 isn't like an interesting way to change the pawn structure. You don't normally do it, but it's interesting. I have a hard time believing it's bad. Looks kind of good to occupy the center. I get this nice reroute, which is kind of cool. If I want it, if he ever plays f3. Sure, I give this square, but it's kind of covered, so he launches some more pawns up the board. Okay. I don't mind seeing that necessarily. He has this weird alignment. His queen is almost trapped in a way. Doesn't really have squares. And so I'm thinking I can solidify my pawn storm. But secretly, like it looks like that's what I'm doing, but secretly I'm creating the defense of a bishop a6. So you see how he tries to stop the pawn storm with this weakening move on the dark squares, but he really misses the point, which is my bishop a6 move. And now his queen is actually trapped. So he has to get 8 points of material, the rook and the bishop, for the queen. Which is still better. Like, let's say he didn't trap his queen and he could move there. He would lose a full bishop. But here he only loses, 1 point of material, technically. But now we're just winning, of course. So this is usually when I'm like, oh, I have my, I'm obviously winning, and my brain just stops working. to its optimum levels. Okay, so you see I'm already just like, I have no idea now. All of a sudden I have no idea what to do. Okay. Well, trading has to be good for me. So what's my, I mean, I guess just try to dislodge this knight so I can plant my knight here. That looks annoying. Trade's good for me, I guess. Also got to move my queen. I don't have any open files for my rook. I don't really need to open up the position and create something because I want material. I don't need to do that. So I guess this knight's kind of could go here, but then he has like a. Whenever he pushes, I just want to lock it up, so I don't want to give him a double attack. I guess I'll just go here. If I hit his bishop and he retreats somewhere, there's no point. Yeah, okay, let's get one of our knights off the board. It's kind of in the way. Kind of in the way. And we could probably snake our queen in or do something. Who knows? At this point, I mean, we have a queen and a pawn. So he moves the knight. He doesn't want the trade. He wants to go here. But that undefends this square. So now our knight gets that outpost. And it attacks the rook and the pawn. So I'll do it. If he doesn't want the trade, which kind of makes sense because it leaves the knight on b6 kind of dumb. But then I can do this, and now both my knights also support an a4 pawn push. But there's a free pawn here. This would be a fork, but the bishop, be careful, sniper bishop. So let's take this with check, because you can always come back with check, so it's free pawn. And maybe you can even almost pre-move. Okay, well he moves here. I still kind of want to bring my knight back, so let me just do that. You could put it back here with check, you know, restabilize and stuff. It's also nice where it is because it supports a4 as mentioned. Takes. But maybe I don't want to give his rooks avenues. Who knows? So he goes for it, but I think I'm going to clog it up. Maybe he's going for piece sacrifices. So let me throw in this check, which is extra support to that square. In case he piece sacrifices, I'll be able to trade at least one of the minors, making the attack seemingly less effective. At some point, it would be nice to get your queen in the game, your most powerful piece. Maybe just lift it up. Seems reasonable, but at the current moment, I want to lock things up if possible. And ask him the question, are you going to piece sacrifice? Do you have it in you? And his light square bishop is kind of off sides, not doing too much. He retreats the knight, which challenges our strong knight. But I'd be happy to plant a pawn here, so I don't mind him taking. I really hate this knight, so I'm going to bring it back this way and reinforce the other knight if he doesn't take. Also, he can trade. Okay, so he hits the knight, which undefends the bishop. I could go here, but I'm up a bunch of material, so let's just trade. I know the engine may like the, going to c3 and constricting him more and more and squeezing him an optimum advantage, blah, 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 but just trade. You have 3 minutes. Now let's reroute the knight to a nice square. It can even block the bishop, which is kind of cool. Maybe forcing more trades. I like it. Okay, so he attacks the pawn, but this is hanging. The rook's hit. The knight can jump here now that he pushed the pawn. Lots of drawbacks to that move. Okay. Now that my bishop's outside of the fianchetto square, I have no problem going f6 and just reinforcing the structure. If he closes it down, my king is completely safe. If he trades, my rook is opened up, and I'm not blocking my bishop. It also, kind of prepares e5. Um, Another strong move if you get that in. So he moves the rook. We can improve our knight, which I'm going to throw in just because it hits his dark square bishop. And that creates tactics because the king is overloaded. And we would like his bishop anyway. Okay, so he doesn't see the problem. So we take this with check. That way, not only do we get the piece, we get the fork, winning maximum material. And then he has no counterplay and he resigns. We're up 7 points of material. He does not resign. He throws in a check. You could block with the knight, but let's just move the king to a dark square, support everything. Okay, he takes a pawn. The fork is in effect. We can take this way. And when he gives this check, which is what he's probably relying on, maybe with a check or something, once I take. Oh, he doesn't even do it. I was going to say go to king h8, but let's take the rook. Let's blockade the square. And then we could just move our queen and win like that. Here. I mean, we're up 9 points of material. You'd think he'd resign. Let's kick this guy out of here. This is what's known as the bathtub pawn structure. And now we get our queen in the game. This pawn mass is overwhelming in the center. We can infiltrate a number of squares, but let's advance the pawns. Really just squeeze him and check. Get the queen a little bit closer. A little bit more support for the pawn. Boom. Whoops. Yeah, whoops. That was an unnecessary loss of a pawn. I don't know why I thought it was protected. It ruined my flow. I had something cool going. But now we win even bigger stuff. We tricked him. We were up 9 points of material. We tricked him into taking these two pawns, and now that he took them, we give this check, which forces the rook here. Problem with that, it's pinned. So that hurts a lot. And it turns out that those pawns were actually blocking my rook. So he offers a rematch, and it was a good game. That was fun. But I'm going to analyze it instead. So we get the Pirc. We get our starting position here. So what happens? Free improving move. And you see the engine saying hit the bishop. And I was going to, but then I said, let me play a simple game. Show them you don't need to enter opponent's territory. We play c6. He stops us from ever going there. Development in center. Force move, protect the pawn. And then it goes to blunder. I mean, it's saying, white has an advantage, which is, it always says in the beginning of, the Pirc, the King's Indian, the modern, stuff like that. It always gives white, a slowly creeping advantage to a point. And it looks like white's fine. And then he castles, and now it's saying black is suddenly better. And it's like, what? Doesn't white look, just more like a more powerful position overall? So how is black better? And it just seems like in this position, the king would be safer on the king side, not the queen side. I have this ready-made attack and pressure towards the center, towards the queen side. Could run into trouble, but it's not game losing for sure. So we just start our attack. The goal, and this is a threat. It's not just a pawn move. It threatens b4, which wins a central pawn. And now it's saying, well, because he's losing the pawn here, that black is just clearly better at minus 1.6. We kick the knight. He runs to the side, now minus 2.6, completely lost basically. But you still have to play accurately as black. You can definitely, as a human, you know, especially the more lower rated you are, mess this up obviously. It's not like it doesn't win itself. You could definitely make mistakes here, even though it's minus 2. But we take the free pawn and hit the queen. He hits the knight. What's the best move? Okay, best move is d5. Nice. And then we play this very sneaky move. Now, this is a move you kind of want to make anyway, right? Continue the pawn march, but it's a move that might kind of be too slow in and of itself if it didn't contain the bishop a6 behind it kind of thing. But maybe not. Maybe it's not too slow, but I would be worried that it might be too slow, and I'd look for something else, maybe, knight b6, something like that. But he doesn't notice it and completely lost as of now, minus 3.5 because his queen is trapped. He sacks it, and now we just improve our worst place piece with a trade. It turns out that although our knight's bad, his knight's just as bad in the fianchetto square, so it's worse for him than for us. Improving move for free stuff, consolidating move, improving move for free, force move, and now improving our worst place piece yet again, minus 4. Okay, force move, improving our worst place piece, free material for free. I don't want to say force move, but you get the idea, right? Over defending, improving a piece for free, and minus 8. He loses the house. Free pieces, free rooks. It's a closing, going out of business sale. 96% accuracy. Not going to complain about that. Yeah, not much to say. If they castle queenside, launch the b pawn. If they blunder the center, it's kind of game over for them. Moral of the story. So they need to very much pay attention to what you're doing, and they cannot just launch their own pawn like this guy did. And here's a 1600, just walking right into it. So try it in your games. Good luck in your games. Goodbye.